welcome all of you to this second half of this third day of the 5 days program on communication skills. We are today going to talk about various aspects of report writing in this session. Let me start by saying that report writing is a very important activity which every one of us is engaged into. But there are so many myths, there are so many misconceptions about the report, how the report should be written or how the reporting has to be done. There are a lot of ethics related to report writing also. And we find that when the students pass out from diploma or from a degree program, when they go to the world of work, when they go to the industries, they have to engage themselves into report writing also there. Uh, Depending on the industries, sometimes they have to write daily reports, sometimes they have to write uh, twice a week report kind of thing, sometimes weekly report, fortnightly report, monthly report, annual reports. Depending on their job positions, depending on the industries, the students have to write the report. And this is one of the activities which each student, each employee have to do. There can be formal reports or non-formal reports, written or oral reports. So in this session, we will be talking in details about various aspects related to report writing. And I would like to go to the extent in saying that we normally say that this particular college or institute is very good. This institute is not so good. For example, we in this country say that IITs are the premier institutions. Many of us have never visited IIT or IIM or IISc or some of the premier institutions in the country, but still we say that so and so institute is very good. Similarly, in certain corporate houses also, we may not have seen those corporate houses or seen their industries, but we say that so and so industry is very good or so and so. How do we make our opinion? How we make a judgment on the fact that so and so institute or so and so organization or a corporate or a industry is good? Any guesses how we make those opinions? It is basically based on the reports coming out, how they report themselves, and how you can access the transparency with which they are working. They make everything to public, that this is what our students are doing in an institute, this is what our industry is contributing towards the economic growth of the country or towards the social cause. That is how you come to know about that organization, for that matter anything. So it is basically reporting to a common man like you and me that matters a lot, which helps you in framing an opinion. And the good institutions, the report writing is taken very seriously there. I have seen that they take very meticulously, pass on the instructions to the students that this is how you have to write the reports. And when the employers are seeing the reports of the students, which are again nowadays on the internet also available, they know that the student, besides the technical knowledge, he is well equipped in the report writing also, and he can be very useful for our industry. This also reflects on the capabilities of the students. Besides the technical skills and knowledge, his writing skills as a report writing. And report writing is a very important aspect of communication skills. You will be realizing now how important it is. Let me start my presentations, give you an outline of the presentations. We'll be talking about the meaning of the report. I always like to go from the fundamentals for any topic. What is the meaning of a report? Types of reports, essentials of a report writing, 5 Ws and 1H model of report writing. I will be sharing one model with you, which is known as 5 Ws and 1H model, very simple model. In most cases, if you apply this model, you will find that your report is going to be good. And then we'll be talking about characteristics of a good report, and then structure of a report, format for a progress, and a laboratory report. In our classroom situations, in the technical institutions, the students are busy in doing the experiments. They are supposed to write a lab report. If they're giving seminars or they're doing a project or industrial training or internship, they have to write the report. We will sharing with you some of the formats for a good format for writing a good report. Let me start with the basics first. The dictionary meaning of the report. We may be having different concepts about the report. You know broadly what the report is, but it's always good idea to go to the basics first and understand what the dictionary meaning is. The word report is derived from the Latin word reporter, which means to carry back. To carry back, or restart. Re means back. Porter means to carry. We have the porters in the railway station and bus stands and airports. What they do, they carry certain things for us. जो कुली होते हैं वहां पर, they carry certain things. Report is back. So bring back account of anything. You are bringing back account of something which has happened. You are now reporting that. Okay, or state as ascertained facts. You are telling somebody certain facts which are facts only. That is also you are reporting somebody the facts. वहाँ पे ऐसा हुआ, ऐसा हुआ, ऐसा हुआ. For example, nowadays we are daily getting updates on what is happening in J&K. They are simply facts that वहाँ पे पानी है, वहाँ पे इतने पैसेंजर्स और इतने सारे टूरिस्ट हैं या लोकल लोगों का क्या हालत है वहाँ पर, और what the country's army is doing, what the NGOs are doing. So those are the facts. You are getting reports of those things to the TV or certain other channels. Tell as a news, narrate or describe or repeat, especially as eyewitness. You have seen something and now you are narrating that thing to somebody else. As an eyewitness, you are now saying, for example, in the same news item, sometimes the camera is taken to that particular location and somebody who is there, he is reporting there itself. So it has substantiated what he or she is trying to say with the pictures also as eyewitness, and relate as spoken by another. It can be you yourself has witnessed that, or sometimes we report so and so has said this thing, and so has sometimes we are reporting somebody else's narration to somebody else. So that is also a report. Somebody has said this thing. We say that our Prime Minister has gone to Japan. There he said this thing. We are not repeating his speech there, but we are saying that what he has spoken there. So this is also a report. Account given or opinion formed expressed after intensification or consideration. You are just not only reporting, but you are also expressing your opinion on that also, on that subject, that matter, that issue. That is also a report. So report is a very, very broad and a very, very big term. It is used in various forms. Now let us try to define the report. It is a description of an event carried back to someone who was not present on the scene. If you understand this definition, I think all other definitions and meanings are conveyed in this particular. This is very simple definition, but very, very, very profound. I like all of you to kindly read it for half a minute, then we will discuss about it. Yes. What happens when your students go for a project in the industry? You are not present there, and in their project report, they are telling you what they have done. Exactly. You are not there in J&K now. Somebody else is trying to tell you what is happening there. So a report is something, an event carried back to someone who was not present on the seat. It can be very informal also. For example, when you go back, let us say to the classroom, you may be reporting informally to the student that this is how the course went on. This 5 days program, you will be reporting back to your principal, may ask that how was the program, who were the experts. So you are reporting there. And informal reports can also be from the children. When the children come back from the school, the mother or the father asks what happened today. What he or she is doing is, you are not present in the class, you are not present in the playgrounds of the school, you are not present everywhere, but you are reporting. every day in and day out reporting is going on. It's a very simple and very profound definition of report writing. So we know this definition and we go ahead with this. A report is normally a formal communication. In our context of teaching learning process in the polytechnics and engineering college, when the students are writing the laboratory reports or the project reports or the seminar reports or the training reports, it is normally taken in a formal context. In the industries also, there are mostly formal reporting is done to the superior. And also reports are done not only to the superiors what they have done, but in the R&Ds. Even in the R&D, the reporting is very, very important. Without proper reporting, R&D can never go further. Even the quality control, the market people in the industry, they will give you feedback to the production कि हमारी market में से आपके लिए क्या report है. Market is telling that this product के अंदर ये problem है. So normally this is done formalized. The market people, they formally report to the production people or quality control people or the raw material people, depending on the to whom it may be more relevant. Depending on that, they will be reporting to. Again, let us try to develop the concept of report. A report is a communication from someone who has some information to someone who wants to use that information. I normally say that when we are reading the newspaper, every item in the newspaper is not meant for everyone. Maybe if you are from the sports, you may be more interested into self-help, how to build up your body, or the sports pages may be more interesting to you. If you have certain technological bent of mind, then there is something for you about the technology. If you are in the administration, there's something about the administration. Though journal information is all right, but you would like to get the report of the things which is more relevant to you. You want to use that information somewhere in your professional life or maybe in your daily life, personal life also. So a report is a communication from someone who has some information to someone who wants to use that information. So the report writing is very, very important. Somebody is going to use what you are reporting. So you can immediately say one of the most important thing in report writing is that it should be very, very authentic, because somebody is going to make use of it, take actions based on what you are going to report. So the importance of reports I have talked in details, but let me just summarize some of the points. Report writing itself develops the competencies in the students, in everyone, how to make analysis of the things, discriminate things. And my dear friends, the employers in today's time are not looking for your degrees and diplomas. They are looking for certain specific traits in the students, whether they possess them or not. If your student have the analytical abilities and the job requirements are that they have to analyze certain things there, they will employ you. If your students are good in communication and if the job requirements are that they have to communicate a lot, and they will employ you. So by report writing, the students will develop the ability to analyze, to discriminate things. They will learn how to organize. It is not a random report. I mean, they have to properly organize the content and the matter, and then they have to write a report. They will learn that. They will learn how to organize themselves. They will also learn the trait of judgment. Based on whatever they have done, they will draw certain inferences, certain conclusions. They will make certain recommendations. What they are learning is how to make judgments. Judgments के लिए एक और word है, वो क्या अच्छा word है? When you are judging something, what you are doing, especially in the technical sense में देखें, assimilation is one thing, yes. When you are making judgment, you are taking decisions, isn't so? Based on the analysis, you are now making a judgment. It means you are now in a capacity to make certain decisions. And when you go from the polytechnic or a engineering college to a industry, what you are supposed to do there, largely, you have to take decisions. And if your decisions are right, you are a good engineer. Isn't it so? Every day, in and day out, our students, when they go for the employment, they have to take decisions. The report writing activity is one of the activities in your curriculum where the students learn how to make decisions. So important. It is also communication and many other important traits. I mean, they learn how to communicate orally as well as written. I said, okay, do not limit the scope of report writing only for the written report, but orally also. When they make presentations on what they have to report, they are making presentations orally also. So these are the basically four things, but there are many other traits which are when you start writing a report, you learn to learn so many other things. Now, a word about the types of report. There can be oral and written reports. We have talked about that. There can be informal and formal reports. The report which the child is giving to you after coming from school, or you will be reporting to your respective heads about the program, or every day we keep on having a report. And when you are going for a round as a HOD or as a principal or as a director to the various departments, and what you are gathering there is you are just gathering the what is happening there, and you may ask some questions from the students informally. You are not developed a questionnaire, but you are just taking the feedback from the student. That is an informal report, how the things are going on in the classrooms or in the laboratories, in the workshops, in the drawing halls, in the projects. There can be reports which are known as informational reports, interpretive reports, and there can be certain routine reports. We all understand the meanings of all three of them. Informational report, just providing information to somebody. Interpretive, where you have done certain thing, and based on those experiments, based on certain activities, you interpret, you draw inferences, analyze, and then you report, draw conclusions, and then you report. There are certain routine reports. Routine. Every month you just say, this is going on, this is going on, this is going on. My dear friend, this makes me to think about a company which I visited very recently. This company makes the chemicals. It is based in Thane, New Bombay, uh, and the factory is in New Bombay, but they have the head offices in Thane, in Mumbai. The report writing, the reporting, I'm not saying report writing only here now, reporting is so important. I was amazed that a lot of R&D work was going on. This may be especially interest to ma'am. A lot of activity, they were making the certain new compounds based on bromine. Bromine के ऊपर वो कुछ बना रहे थे, and they are supplying their chemicals to all over the world, including Ranbaxy in India also, in this part of the country. And uh, in any organizations like that, there's a lot of R&D involved. There was a department of R&D. I happened to visit that department there, where the people were doing a lot of research on the computers. कैसे कैसे results आ रहे हैं. They were compiling the data, and there were people who were doing, on the shop floor. certain कुछ तो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग चल रही थी, कुछ नए कंपाउंड के लिए they were working on that in a smaller level, then trying it out on a larger level for the production also, before they actually want to go for the big scale, large scale production. And I was amazed to see there that the reporting was being done. People who were engaged into R&D, they were reporting every few minutes, every 10 minutes, they were reporting to the people who were controlling in the R&D section there. That this is the result we are getting. ये इतना टेम्परेचर हो गया, इतना ये प्रेशर हो गया, इतना ये हो गया, ये कंपाउंड में ये चेंजेस आ गए, ये एनालिसिस आ गया. I was amazed, and that activity was ongoing activity of that company for good 8 hours for a particular shift. Then the next shift will come, the next shift will come. Imagine the importance of report. What does and what the, if you are not good in reporting, the R&D cannot go further. It will not go further. The company is making compounds. It is a Neogen Chemicals करके company है एक वहाँ पर. And I was see the importance of report. Besides the R&D they were doing, and it was a team effort. It was a team effort, and if one team is not reporting, the second team or third team or the final person who's making a decision on certain things, the whole R&D will stop and the whole company can be very, very bad shape. So this is the importance of the report. So it is a certain routine reports are also there when the people say that everything is in order. Let me share with you one more example here. One more example of a routine report and how it can influence a change in a setup. Very recently, I happened to visit a very premier institute of the country and one of the IITs, and we happened to visit the one of the mess जहाँ पे बच्चे खाना खाते हैं वो वाली मेस उसमें हम लोग खाना खाने के लिए चले गए बच्चे बच्चे के पास and just at the entrance of the mess there was a whiteboard and it was a routine report there. Every day the mess people, the person who was supervising the mess, he was reporting after the breakfast how much kgs of food was left out in the plates. It was not difficult thing for anybody to measure that. Let us say your breakfast timing is 7 to 9. At 9:15 they will collect all the plates, put it in a scale and find out okay 4 kgs of breakfast is left out in the plates. In the lunch time so much of food was left out. In the dinner time so much of food was left out. I was really surprised to see this kind of activity going. It's a simple reporting to everybody. That report was accessible to me, and this report was accessible to all the students who were entering the mess right at the entrance. And I was surprised to see. I was asked him, what is the fact? Why you are making this a routine report? He said, it is a routine report for all of us. I said, why are you doing that? He said, uh, we have seen substantial change in the eating behavior of the student. नाउ व्हेन दे आर कॉन्शियस कि हमने 3 किलो खाना वेस्ट कर दिया ब्रेकफास्ट के बाद, नेक्स्ट टाइम ये कम होता चला गया. नाउ इट इज इन फ्यू ग्राम्स ओनली. स्टूडेंट्स पिक अप ओनली दैट मच which they want to eat. So this is the importance. They see the impact, the consciousness of the student. They prick the consciousness of the students. There it is their food only, and they have not to be waste. And we normally see the reports in the newspapers that in the marriages, in the functions, so much of food is being wasted. There are some NGOs who work on that. We keep on having, this is the importance of the report, and the students are now picking it up. Similarly, we keep on getting the weather reports. It's a routine report. What is the temperature yesterday and today? It is a routine report. Based on those routine reports, we can make our planning for next few days or next few hours also. So there can be informational reports, interpretive reports, routine reports, but every report has a purpose. Somebody is there to use it. It has an impact on everybody, whosoever is concerned. I hope you're able to appreciate what I'm trying to say here. Okay. Essentials of a good report: issue a perspective. The report should be unbiased, objective manner, and authenticated. You should not put your own, as far as possible, opinions. Try to find out what the data is saying, what the findings are, and report as it is. Why it is so? Because once that issue, that perspective is not properly given, defined, you will lose the trust of the people. Once they find out that your report is not authenticated, next time your report will not be read by anybody. Isn't so? And madam in the morning was talking about the first thing in communication is establishing a trust. If you are not able to establish a trust with the people, people will not believe you, however good communicator you may be. So it should be, and perspective, issue of a perspective. For example, if I am, let us say, talking about an issue, what is the perspective of A party in that? It may be negative about B party, but it is my responsibility. My ethics says that I must take the point of view of the B party on this issue. Maybe they have a different story to tell me. So it is always good that we see the perspective of that issue from different angles, and then before I make a report, I should be able to present. Now on the TV channels, on the radio, in the newspapers, you will find that sometimes that perspective is not properly covered from different angles. Then you have tendency, okay, it's a one-side story here. You have heard the daughter in law, you have not heard the mother in law. यू हैव टू आपने एक बच्चे घर में दो बच्चे लड़ाई कर रहे हैं, आपने एक बच्चे की रिपोर्ट ले ली, दूसरे बच्चे की रिपोर्ट नहीं ली, एंड यू टेक एक्शन, यू सी व्हाट हैपेंस. So it's always good to have a put the issue in a proper perspective, look at it from a different angles, and then you report it. Okay, मैंने ये वाला मटेरियल यूज करा, ये वाला प्रोसीजर यूज करा, मेरे ये रिजल्ट्स हैं. But somebody else has done on the same problem using different materials and different procedures, उनके ये रिजल्ट हैं, वो भी आप अपनी रिपोर्ट के अंदर शामिल करिए. Alright? Then authoritative facts and figures, whatever figures and facts you are taking from the secondary sources, it should be from a authoritative source. ऐसे नहीं कि हमने नेट से ले लिया, उसकी अपनी क्या authority है to put it on the net. Have you verified the facts? Have you verified all the figures from some source? Some cross verification should be done before we put the things in the report. Then in-depth analysis. Again, boiling down to the same push, taking down the issue in the proper perspective, is in-depth analysis. In-depth, meticulous analysis of the data should be done related to that issue before you actually put it in the public or put it in the user, whosoever the users are. आपने properly उसको analyze करा, जो आपका duty थी वहाँ पे analyze करने की, वो करने के बाद ही आप आगे. Alternate viewpoints, I have talked about that. Free from the views of radical positions, relevance to the main focus. क्योंकि मेरे HOD ने ऐसा कहा या मेरे डायरेक्टर साहब ने ऐसा कहा, तो I must mold my findings accordingly that, या मेरे सुपरवाइजर की ये ओपिनियन है या मेरे सीनियर की ये पोजीशन है, तो मेरे को इसलिए ऐसा कहना है, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. In the report writing, it should be free from, or it should be mainly concerned from the objectivity. Objectivity means not with a personal bias, but what the issue is. That is most important. What are the alternate viewpoints on that? Then appropriate annexure should be added. The report should be, again, let me again emphasize this point, brevity is the soul of communication. And that rule applies to report also. Your report should be as brief as possible. जो डाटा है आपका, बहुत सारी चीजें हैं जो कि कोरैबोरेट करती हैं आपकी रिपोर्ट को, they can go in the next. They can the data, जो आपकी कैलकुलेशंस हैं, जो आपकी डायग्राम्स हैं, जो आपकी ग्राफ्स हैं, they are supporting what you want to say, but say in a very, very brief way. Those who are interested to know how you have arrived on those things, they can see the next steps. You can attach those things or attach certain links there, that this is how I have arrived on this conclusion. Okay, so additional information pertaining to the subject can be put up in the report, and the report should be as brief as possible. We will be talking little more details about the brevity of the report, importance of the brevity of the report little later. Let me go ahead now. I said that in the beginning that we will be talking about a model which is generally applied in most of the report. If you use this model, just keep the perspective of this model in your mind when you are writing any report, especially in the industries. They use this model very, very intensively all over the world. This is a very authenticated model. It is known as 5 W's and 1 H model. The first W stands for what is the problem. In the report, everybody should be very clear what it's talking about, what is the issue. Okay, justification, why you are reporting to this. Then second W stands for why, relevance and significance of the problem, importance, objectives क्या हैं, what are you going to achieve after, let us say, report. यदि आपके पास report नहीं होती फिर क्या हो जाता. All right, if I have not report about how much food is being wasted, what would happen? The food would have been kept on wasting in a larger quantity or smaller quantity, who knows. Justification है आपकी, because your country is suffering from the food and we want to conserve the food. Justification है आपकी. Objective क्या है? Food wastage को कम किया जा सके. Okay, why is very important. Then who are the people involved in the situation? The reader, जिसके लिए report बनी है, writer, who is writing the report, and or it may be useful for the third party, maybe somebody else. Okay. For example, in many of the times I find that we do a lot of R&D activities in the institutions, and we report that when the student report, we just keep that report for grading the students only. कि उसने अपना project कर दिया, and now he's written a report, and we evaluate and we give him marks, and there ends the thing. No, that report में जो findings हैं, they may be useful for the third party. That report can be very useful for the third party. For example, one of my students, he did a report. He reported to me in one of the projects that in Chandigarh there are few buildings which are not friendly for the people who are disabled or who are physically challenged. हमारे यहाँ पे कुछ ऐसी बिल्डिंग हैं, पब्लिक बिल्डिंग्स, as per the bylaws, as per the architectural norms, you cannot have a building, public building, which is not accessible by everyone, whether a person is on the wheelchair or he's blind or he's a deaf or he's a dumb. The building should be accessible by anyone. So we made a project, and then we made sure that that report goes to those buildings जो कि उनके owner हैं, so that they can make certain amendments there. It was for the grading of the student, as well as that information which they have come out with the results, they can go to that organization. It can be who are the people involved, reader, writer, or the third party. The fourth W stands for time. It is very important to mention the time period when this report is being written. Maybe we say that this is outdated report. उसके बाद तो बहुत सारी amendment हो गई हैं. We keep on designing the building based on the old codes, because we are not aware what is time. उसका time क्या है उसका report का. Maybe I have taken a sample of a water and reported that this water is dirty, and maybe that problem is there only for that short period of time. Maybe afterward they have made the corrections also. So time is very important. In what season, what time, what is the date, what is the month, should be part of the report. The fifth very important W stands for location, where the things are happening. कहाँ की report है ये? That's the problem. Where the problem occurs. So 5W stands for justification, objectives, who are the people, time, and location. In any report, use this model, and it should be there. And then the H stands for how to report. You have answered all the 5Ws. Now it is up to you how you're going to report. How I can convey this thing to somebody who was not present at the scene, or who will be interested to know this report. That is also very important. That reporting should be, you should know your audience very well. For example, if my audience is technical, I will be using technical terms. My audience is report writing is, my report is going to be read by the people who are in the medical area. My report will be using that kind of vocabulary and how it will be. So you must know how to report. That will come for whom you are writing the report. What should be the format of the report? That is very important. Now, I will very quickly go through the good characteristics which a report must have. Precision, be accurate, very clear about the exact purpose, specifically for what purpose you are writing the report. Accuracy of facts, we have talked about that. Relevance, it should not be just hypothetically irrelevant. We see nowadays, certain channels, they just put us off. We see that from morning till evening, they are reporting about something, and they sensation कर देते हैं उस news item के लिए, that we don't want to hear it even. It becomes so irritating. It may not be relevant to, or it may be overdone. Similarly, it should be relevant to the public then. Somebody has fallen sick in the film industry, and it is in the first page of the national headlines. I mean, it's not relevant. Is it relevant to all the people? Should be. Yes, she's been the second baby is on the. I mean, maybe people in England it may be very very important with the local people and some gossip and all. But in the technical institution, technical report writing, relevance is very important. Irrelevant report has been very confusing, and then it should be reader oriented. When you are writing a report, it should be reader oriented. It should be reader friendly, I would say. Readers should be able to read the report in a very very easy and convenient way. We will be talking a little more details when we're talking about the format of the report, about the reader orientation. Objectives of the recommendations should be very clear. Why are you making some kind of recommendations? What are your objectives? Want somebody else to pursue this matter further? That can be your recommendation, and it should be very impartial, objective, logical conclusions to investigation and analysis based on all that. Simple and unambiguous language. Sometimes people feel that my report will not be appreciated unless I make use of very, very big words, big phrases, the language. This will be contrary to the previous characteristics which I mentioned just now, should be reader oriented. Okay, as long as you know that your reader of the report, the language should be as simple as possible, but very accurate, grammatically, vocabulary wise, everything should be very, very in order. Grammatically accurate, I told you. Sometimes certain grammatical errors can change the meaning of a sentence and a phrase. Yesterday, ma'am was talking about the writing skills, how a comma, how a stress on a particular word can change the meaning. We know it now, understand it very well. That is applicable. Then clarity, proper arrangements of the facts, proceeding systematically, clear purpose, define sources. यदि आपने कोई secondary sources से कोई information ली है, define them very well. Write short paragraphs, giving them headings, especially in the technical reports, short paragraphs, and if possible, bullet it, and then give them headings also. That makes the report very good. Then brevity we have talked over, and I don't want to overemphasize now. Brevity is the soul of any communication, more so about the report writing. I like to share with you, a small thing here. A very my own personal experience working in this organization, NITTTR. Long back, a project came to us, and I was make the coordinator for that program to prepare a manual for external evaluation for the Punjab State Board of Technical Education. We were given an assignment that a manual for the external evaluation, and they wanted to bring about the reforms in the student evaluation system in the Punjab state, which was done based on the report which we prepared, and then many states then followed that report also. Haryana also followed that to some extent, and then many other states also followed that. I'm trying to focus on the aspect of brevity in the report writing. I worked for almost 6 to 8 months. There were other colleagues also working in that project, and we invited experts to give their opinions. What kind of evaluation systems are presently going on in various organizations, in the university, in the colleges, in the degree colleges, in the IITs, in the polytechnics, in the schools, CBSE, ISE, ICSE, various boards. कहाँ पे कैसे evaluation system चल रहे हैं, external evaluation कैसे हो रही है, and we gathered, and what will be the most appropriate way of evaluating the students in a diploma program. And I prepared a report of about 200 pages, and at that time Dr. Krishnamurthy, who is the authority himself on student evaluation systems, was our principal, and he was a direct student of Granard and people like that who were authority in the world on evaluation. When I was so happy, okay, 200 pages report, he will be very very happy. I put it across his table. I said, sir, this report is there. Kindly go through it in your leisure time and in your free time. And before I submitted the Punjab Court, because I knew that he is the authority himself on the student evaluation. He just saw the content and he said, okay, 200 pages, who's going to read that? This report is meant for whom? For the teachers? For the student? For the teachers who are going to evaluate a student? Where is the patience with them to read 200 pages? For the board, an IAS or a PCS officer will read your 200 pages before he brings about the reforms, or a student will study his own books, or he will study your student evaluation system. I was really taken aback. I was so happy. I was patting myself कि मैंने 200 पेज की report लिखी, which has such a wonderful things to do. Uh, I said I realized it was a mistake. So I slowly brought it to about 100 pages. That project was to pay us 1.25 lakh rupees from the board. That was a paid project to the institute, and it was 1.25 lakh, sorry, 1.25 lakh rupees at that time, about I think 15 years back. It was a paid project to the institute as a consultancy project, and मैंने फिर उसको reduce करके उसका volume जो है 100 pages तक लेकर आया मैं. He was still not happy. He said, 100 pages, Mr. Singla, who's going to read it? Same question. Your report is very good. It has so many good things, but who's going to read it? Who's going to make use of it? I then reduced it to about 50 pages. With a great hesitation, he accepted that, let it go. And I wanted to then go personally to give it to the secretary of the Punjab State Board of Technical Education. I will not name him now. I put it across him. I said, okay, sir, this is the report which we have made, and this can be very, very effective for student evaluation as far as the external evaluation system is concerned. He said, okay, Mr. Singla, for this 50 rupees you are charging the board 1.25 lakh rupees. he just had a copy of that report in his hands and see the contents, and like Krishnamurti sir going through the report, he said, oh, for this 50 pages report you are charging the board. At that time it was a big amount. I mean, about 15 years back, 1.525 lakh was a big amount. I said, okay, sir, I was going to ask you to pay me more because I have spent 1 month time in reducing its volume from 200 pages to 50 pages. So 1 month extra we have spent. Otherwise, आपका जो 1.25 lakh का काम था वो मैं 1 महीने पहले कर दिया था. That 50 down करने. So my dear friends, you can imagine, as teachers we also have a tendency sometimes कि जो बच्चे ने ज़्यादा लिखा उसको ज़्यादा नंबर दें, जो बच्चे ने कम लिखा उसको कम नंबर दें. But my dear friends, let us try to go from here. From today onwards, we will say that brevity is the essence of the report. We must know, and the voluminous reports die virgin. Nobody reads them. They just gather dust in the shelves. So this I think makes the point very elaborate in your minds how the reports have to be written very briefly. All right. So if you remember this, my all other presentations will be focused on brevity. Preparing a report. These are steps: investigating the sources of the information, taking notes of them from them, analyzing the data, making an outline of the report, how you want to report it, keeping that 5W 1H model into your mind, and then you start writing the report. The simple steps in there. Now, the word about how to collect the method data. You can have a direct personal assessment of the things, personal investigations. You are yourself conducting the experiment. You yourself are gathering the data. It can be through interviews. It can be through correspondence. It can be through questionnaires. It can be through. So you're gathering the data, and your decision making is based on that data. Make sure whatever method you apply, that should be authentic, because your decisions are going to be based on the data. And if your decisions are not based on the data, your decisions, there is every likelihood your decisions are based on wrong. Right? Then the structure of the report. We're talking in details about the structure of the report. Front matter, main body, and the back matter. These are the basic structure of the report. Is you have something called the front matter, main body of the report, back matter. Now what should go in the front matter will go in the details of that also. There should be cover, starting from the cover itself. Especially in the technical report, it should be some soft white or off-white or maybe light blue color, a neutral color, not very what you call as sharp and maybe depending on the report. But in technical reports, we try to keep it as neutral, as soft. Front piece, you all understand? It catches the eye. It asks the reader to read me. The report should be, the cover itself should say to the reader that read me. I said reader friendly. The front piece, the photographs, maps, artistic drawing or something. You know, when you are going to a bookshop, if you are not aware ki which book I am going to pick up, you are not aware about कि title का book का क्या होगा, writer कौन है, publisher कौन है, you know the subject. I am looking book on, let us say, report writing itself in the market, and you ask the seller, bookseller, that I want a book on report writing. He put in front of you 10 books. You are not very choosy. You do not know which author, which publisher, which book I have to pick up. First thing, you want to see the cover. Then you want to see the front piece on that. What kind of that? Then out of 10, you will pick up maybe 2, 3 of them. What is that which is forcing you to pick up out of 10, 1 or 2? That covers. The report should be having that. Okay. Title page is part of the front matter. First right hand page of the report includes that. In that, what should go on the first right hand side of the first right hand page of the report? Title page में क्या जाना चाहिए? Subtitles, name of the author, name of the authority for whom the report is written, contract or the project or the job number, depending on the situation, depending on the type of the report, it should come there. Normally the job numbers are there in the industries. The project, the contract, उसकी copy होनी चाहिए वहाँ पर, mention about the contract between who and who. If it's the MOU, then it is mentioned there itself. Then approvals, somebody is, you have written a report, I got the approval from my principal, director, that we authenticate that this report goes from the institute. Not Mr. Singla's opinions are mentioned in there, it's the institute document. All right, approvals, somebody has to approve the report. Then there should be a distribution list. Normally we miss out on this. This report should copy, this should go to the university, copy of the report should go to the State Board of Technical Education, copy of this should go to the library, copy of this report should go to the supervisor, to the external evaluator, copy of this should also go to the person for whom this report can be some meaning. For example, in that case, which I mentioned just now, copy of that report we sent it to those building owners who were owning that buildings, or maybe the municipal corporation of the city, that they may take account of those things. Then in the front matter, there should be a copyright notice. We are now quite aware of the IPR, and a new IPR is coming up. I was reading in the today's newspaper, a new IPR, its implementation की जो strategies हैं, they are going to come in force in the law. It's very important that you put up a copyright notice in every report coming out from your students. Then a forwarding letter. What is a forwarding letter? We have a forwarding and a preface. We say preface in in any report, and there's a forwarding letter. What is the difference between a forwarding letter and a preface, and why they are important? They should be part of every report, to my mind. Okay. Okay. To make the point, I think there needs to be a little more clarification is required on these two issues. Forwarding letter is some important points regarding the scope, content, and purpose of the project. And a forwarding is normally written by not the author of the report. An expert who has gone through that, it is a sort of a recommendation to other people that they may find out, okay, so and so has forwarded it It means this is some substance in that report. Okay. Whereas the preface is written by the author, the person who is reporting himself or herself. The purpose of the preface is not only that, the purpose of the preface is, for that matter, the report or book or anything else is to make the reader convenient how he should go about this report. You are introducing somebody, you are making a friendship with the reader here. Okay, मैंने जो 10 चैप्टर लिखे हैं उसमें if you will go through this in this fashion, if you are trying to put the perspective of your report in the minds of the reader so that he finds it easy to read it. All right, maybe sometimes you have put the chapter in a particular order, chapter number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but you want to make a recommendation to the reader. Okay, it is a good idea when you are reading the chapter number 3, read so and so page at chapter number 7 before that. That will be useful for you to understand the concepts you are mentioning in the chapter number 2 itself. All right, so that those things can come in the preface, the background also, under what circumstances you have done that, and so that your reader is now getting a friendship with that thing. All right, is it clear to everybody's mind? The preface is an introduction, a friendship with the reader you are developing through the preface, and helping him reading the report in the manner in which you want him to or her to read the report. So preface is written by the author, a foreword is written by the expert in that area, in that subject. So the author himself writes the preface, and an authority or expert in the field writes the foreword. Then acknowledgements. We normally make certain mistakes in the acknowledgements also. We say I acknowledge so and so, I acknowledge so and so. When we are writing the acknowledgements, always keep in mind, acknowledge a person and mention also how he has helped you in conducting the whole thing. You are acknowledging your, let us say, steno, who has helped you in typing. You are acknowledging your wife, who has permitted you to sit long hours in the laboratory to execute those experiments. You mentioned there that what kind of patience she has reflected when you are coming late from the office. But just acknowledging your wife is doesn't make any sense. You acknowledge your guide because specifically mention what he has done, how he is contributing. You are acknowledging a co-guide, maybe another professor from a different discipline has helped you in a way, then you must mention. And maybe you have got the financial aid from somebody to undertake that work, you can acknowledge him in providing the financial aid. So you must mention that what kind of acknowledgement you have to place. We find that in many times people do not mention what kind of help they are putting, and then sometimes ignore certain people also, or overemphasize somebody who has not contributed any to the report, just to add the value to the report. This is very, very unethical. All right. Then in the front matter goes a table of contents. Table of contents and index are different things. We normally have a confusion between the two. We will talk about that also in this. The table of contents are table of contents, or we say contents, and then we say what is there in the report and page number and subtitle. Index we will talk about when we come to the back matter. Then list of illustrations, especially if there are some illustrations there, you make a list of that. Some people may be interested only in illustrations. You keep in mind that you are making the report friendly. Somebody is interested only in illustrations. Then there should be an abstract and there should be a summary. Nowadays we say executive summary. How abstract is different from the summary? Abstract is in a few words, sometimes a very high up. For example, the Secretary of the Technical Education has no time to read my 50 pages report even. All right. So I write a abstract of what I have written for him in few lines. It tells about the concentrated form, what is there in that. All right. and maybe second rung in the hierarchy may have little more time. He will go through the executive summary. There I give the substance of the report. I say that my report में मेरी report में क्या क्या finding है, major findings can come there in the executive summary. Are you able to draw a distinction between abstract and summary? So whatever are your major findings, that also you want to convey to some people who do not have much time, they can go through the executive summary. And maybe if your abstract and your executive summary are very interestingly written, they may like to go through the whole book. So they're very important for you to write a good abstract and a good summary. Now come to the main body of the report. First of all, introduction. In the introduction, you write down the historical and technical background of the issues, scope of study. You always work under a certain scope, certain limitations. You must clearly mention at the very outset, in the introduction itself, that I have done this study under these limitations. I have done this thing under this kind of parameters. ये मेरी boundaries थी. इस इन boundaries में रह के मैंने काम करा. So the person know कि मेरी ये report का context क्या है. Okay. Then method of collecting the data and their sources in the introduction itself. Then authorization for report and terms of references. That you are authorized to do that. Isn't so? हम ऐसी report कर रहे हैं. I have no authority. Under some authority, you always do certain work. You must mention the authorization and the terms of references. कि आपकी क्या duty थी, दूसरे organization जो involved थे report writing के अंदर, उनकी क्या responsibility थी. So you are mentioning all those things. Then definitions of special terms and symbols if their number is small. At the introduction itself, to make it more reader friendly, if there are certain definitions, if they are small in number, define them beforehand, so that when the people are reading them, they are reading those concepts, those definitions, they are understanding those terms in the context in which you have written the report. Otherwise, they will keep deriving their own meanings. Isn't so? So when I was giving lecture on the report writing, I defined it there. When I was giving lecture on the listening skills, I try to define. When communication, for example, it can be technical terms, maybe certain definitions, they will make the report more reader friendly. Then after introduction, the second important aspect is discussion and description. State. After introduction, you should state, come to the discussion and description of it. Then you draw the conclusion depending from the discussion and the description. You have done certain experiment. You describe how you have done that, and these are your findings. And then you draw the inferences, the conclusions from that you mention. Then you put up the. Normally, we find people getting confused on the terms, conclusions, and recommendation. They are two different terms. Both have their own importance. Recommendations are not mandatory. You may put up certain recommendations in a report, which will be a good idea, but conclusions are mandatory. No. I will come down to that. Certain recommendation can come in the executive summary. Certain recommendations will be taking form in the executive summary. Okay, let me elaborate that. You will understand that well. These concepts will be very clear in the report writing. When you are writing conclusions, you are not trying to put your opinion anytime there. Based on whatever data, whatever you have done, you are trying to draw the inferences objectively, putting your personal self out of that. That is your conclusion. Without conclusion, the report has no meaning. Isn't so? So you conclude by saying, आपके ये finding थी, you conclude by saying that this water is unfit for the human consumption, because you have found out that this is in this water, the arsenic content or fluoride content or ABC contents are beyond what the human should be able to consume. You not judgment, conclusion. Yes, you can say judgments also. You conclude. Now, recommendations are that you have worked on certain limitations. मैंने ये वाला मेथड से काम करा, मैंने ये वाले मटेरियल लगाए, but these things need to be further investigated. You have limited time with you, limited equipment with you, limited material with you, limited resources with you. You have put already that in the introduction that under these limitations I have worked, but based on my limited findings, I am concluding like this, but I recommend that somebody else may further investigate this matter and can work further on this. All right. So recommendations are not always mandatory for the person who's writing the report, but it's a good idea that he may or she may suggest certain thing for somebody else to take further actions on what he has done already in the report. Is it clear to your mind now? What is there in the conclusions and what is there in the recommendations? And we need to educate our students to be clear on these issues. Conclusions comprise of inferences and findings, whereas the function of the recommendation is to suggest the further course of action. Maybe in a project like what we do in the polytechnics and in the engineering colleges, a particular project is carried on from batch to batch. एक बैच ने कुछ काम कर लिया, उनके पास 3 महीने थे या 2 महीने थे या 4 महीने थे. Then you put up the same problem. They start where the first batch has ended. You know, based on the recommendation. If you have no recommendation, the problem is stopped there itself. Okay. Now, the third very important part of the report is the back matter. Back matter में क्या है? Appendices. All the data, all the calculations, all the graphs and everything can go in the appendix. Keep your report very, very concise. Introduction, discussion, conclusions, recommendation. Whatever is supporting that, आप उस conclusion पे कैसे पहुंचे, उनकी जो detailed calculations हैं, detailed graphs हैं, they can go in the appendix. Those who are interested to know, they can read the appendix. To be properly numbered and referred to in the report. Then the list of references. Now, there is again, we also have a list of references. We have also bibliography attached in a. Are they same? Or they are different? And if they are different, how they are different? And what is the purpose of a reference? What is the purpose of a bibliography? I find many times the teachers and the students are having confusion on these two issues also. They try to mix up these two things on references and bibliography. Let me make this point very clear here. References are something where you mention, you acknowledge a source which is directly being quoted in the report. आपने कुछ lines, कुछ चीजें ऐसी ली जो कि secondary source से किसी और ने काम करा था, you are directly taking it and quoting in your report, that becomes your reference. And in the back matter you say, in the report it's a good idea you make number 1 and in the end you say number 1 पे जो मैंने लिखा था number 1 ये source है उसका. This is the source from where I have taken the information. All right. Bibliography on the other hand, you do not take the material as it is and reproduce it in the report, but you have studied that. उसके कुछ concepts आपको useful लगे, and you feel that whosoever is going to read my report, besides the references, if he reads this material also, this can be helpful for the person in further investigation, further knowing the things. आपने उस reference के अलावा और भी बहुत कुछ, maybe websites के ऊपर, Google के ऊपर, maybe certain journals, maybe certain manuals or books or reference books आपने refer करी, जिसका material आपने as it is नहीं produce करा, but you found that this can be very useful for the reader if he wants to further investigate. That should come in your bibliography. That can take the form of the bibliography. Is it point? This I hope this point is made very clear to all the participants at the various centers. Difference between references and bibliography. What is their purpose? and how should we writing that? We will come down to that also. Okay. Then the bibliography I just now explained it to you. Kindly read this very carefully. Yes, you understand the difference now. We will not do any mistakes when we do. Our students will make these things very clear to the students also. There are certain gray areas where we have to have a clarity between abstract and summary, bibliography, and references. These are gray areas. Forward and a preface. What should go in the report? What should go in the back matter? Then there should be a glossary. It is a good idea to put a glossary. If you have not included already the definitions of the main terms, if they are large in term, if there are large number of terms you want to define, then they should come in the glossary. If there are less in number, then they can go in the introduction. If there are so many definitions, it's good idea to put them in the glossary. So you define the terms which you have used. Somebody is, let us say, reading the report and he want to understand, okay, what does that mean? They can go to refer to the glossary. Then there is a term known as index. Glossary and index, they are different things. There's a confusion between the contents, glossary, and index also. Index is the most of the major terms which you have used, the phrases which you have used, the words which you have used, जो important है उनमें से. Let us say in a report you have used the word toxicity. Somebody is interested to know about the toxicity in your report only. He or she doesn't want to read the whole report. और let us say fluorides की बात करते हैं या आपने कोई पर्टिकुलर टर्म की बात करते हैं. He or she doesn't want to read the whole report, but he wants to see what your report is want to say on fluoride, on toxicity, or maybe on ABC term, यानी कोई भी term के बारे में. Now, in the index, जो आपकी major terms हैं, you will write down that term and say this term appears in page number so and so, so and so, so and so with commas, so that the person who is interested to learn about that word, he can refer to those specific pages. It is a good idea. Again, the moral of the story is you are making the report reader friendly. जिसने पास कम टाइम है, he can read the abstract. जिसपे थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा टाइम है, he can read the summary. जिसके पास थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा टाइम है, he can read the whole report. जिसके पास जिसने further investigation करनी है, he will go through the appendices also. जिसने specifically किसी particular जगह पे काम करना है, he will read the index and will go to the those pages also. Are you getting now the purpose? If you are aware about this, you will make use of this structure of the report which I am proposing it here. All right. Now I spend only 2-3 minutes. Most of you are aware about how to write down a reference in a report or in a seminar. There are many ways. Nowadays in Windows 7, in the new Windows 7, they give you the APA, American Psychological Association style of writing a reference. I am not going to go in the details of this, but these are available freely on the net. Their manuals are freely available on the net. जब आपने कोई reference लिखना है, तो आपको कैसे लिखना चाहिए? There is a APA style which is most common. There is also a MLA style. So we will normally, earlier APA style was very common. The journals, most of the seminar and conferences at the international level, in the national level, when you are writing the references and bibliography, they want it to be written in a particular order, and this is the APA style of writing that. Okay. This is the latest edition, 6th edition, second printing, publication manual of American Psychological Association. If you go to the website, put in the Google, you will find the full details. This is the style they are recommending. For example, you can go through these lines, probably single author, last name first, followed by the author initials, then the year, then the book itself, then the publisher, year of publication, page number so and so to so and so. Okay. If there are two authors, this is how they want you to write the references or then the bibliography. This is according to the APA style. Okay. You should know that comma कहाँ पे डालना है, full stop कहाँ पे डालना है, year कहाँ पे डालना है, publish कैसे किस font में होनी चाहिए, कैसे होनी चाहिए. This is the style. Then there is a modern language association which is now becoming very popular. Many of the known American journals, Europe में, India में, they are now asking for the MLA. I was not including this particular topic in my presentations earlier, but last time some participant asked me, so I included this part also. Just to introduce you to, it is a modern language association style of writing the references and the bibliography. In this also, the basic format is given here. You can just go through it. You will understand it well. This one book कैसे लिखनी चाहिए, ये दो book refer कर रहे हैं तो कैसे लिखनी चाहिए. But these are also again, this is again free of cost available on the Google, on the whole. If you are referring to, let us say, a journal, or you are referring to a book, if you are referring a website, or if you are quoting somebody, how to quote that, how to acknowledge that in the reference, in the bibliography, complete details manual is given in that. Kindly go through that. Now, I will be very quickly going through the progress reports, the format for the progress report. Normally, you can always change the format which I'm suggesting here, but normally the progress report in the industries are written in this format. You have the name of the मैडम जारी है वहाँ पे ना, वो अनइंटरप्टेड है कि should I pause? यहाँ पे पावर फेलियर हुआ है, मेरी आवाज़ नहीं जाएगी, जा रही है ना? I'm sorry, my dear friends, the power has gone in the studio, but I think you are able to see the PowerPoints and hear me. As long as that is done, it's okay for us. I was talking about the progress report format, name of the work of the project, or the name of the work of the project, total work to be completed, then the date, work completed to date, is a progress report up, let us say after 1 month, 2 months, 4 months, बाद कितना कितना काम हुआ है, work to be completed, possible date of completion, then remarks section, then signature and designation of the reporting officer. Then the laboratory reports which we do it every day in the polytechnics and engineering colleges, experiment number, date, heading or title, significance or the objective, why you are doing this experiment, what is its importance, applications, then related theory. Normally nowadays these things are available in the manual, and if the manuals are not available, I would request the teachers to kindly prepare manuals for their respective laboratories. But this is the format for the report in the laboratory. Normally we follow this. Then apparatus used, experimental setup, procedure in conducting the experiment, precautions, observations, conclusions, results and discussions. Then it is a good idea to write certain possible questions and answers based on that laboratory. Okay, so this is the laboratory report format. Of course, then there is the signatures. This is a training report के लिए format जो हमने, which I normally suggest is name, ID number, maybe the roll number or something, department of civil engineering or mechanical engineering department name, title of the project, date, table of contents, list of tables, list of figures, abstract, introduction, objectives and description of training or the project, analysis, conclusions, bibliography and this is a suggestive format. You may like to modify this format or you may like to change, but this is normally we recommend. And then there is of course appendices. Thank you very much, my dear friends. This is what I wanted to talk to you about the report writing. Uh, but before I go to question answer session, let me here give you a example of the format which is being used in one of the institute. I found it very interesting. I thought it will be very interesting for all of you. मैडम इसको प्रोजेक्ट कर देंगे दूसरे वाले स्लाइड को